bad debt. Like you mentioned about credit and having established credit and what's a good credit score, checking your credit report and looking what's on your credit report. And when you look at your credit report, you have to decide what is the good credit and what is the bad credit. Well, let me start by introducing myself formally. My name is Alan Maheny, and I work with the Israel Discount Bank. I've been in banking for about 10 years now, the past 2 with IDB as a private banker. And as a private banker, I get involved with various fields of the bank, including credit, which actually brings us to tonight's topic, good debt and bad debt. And the purpose of tonight's topic is to help you get an understanding of your individual debt portfolio. This is the way I put it. I call our debt as a debt portfolio. And this will help you get a better understanding of the various types of debt you have, both good and bad, and I'll define those. What makes debt good and bad, and the effects that this debt has on our lives. And those are generally the most important things to know about debt. That debt has an effect on your life, both monetarily, mentally, ultimately physically. So it's more than just your financial health, it's your all around. Okay, so let's get into it. And hopefully today we'll come out with a little more understanding of our credit and debt goals. Where do we go? And you mentioned something. I'll start with the basic premise. You mentioned it earlier. We should all know about debt. Good and bad is that debt should not exceed a certain limit of our income. And this we call the debt-to-income ratio. Your debt-to-income, well actually, your debt-to-income ratio varies. Some people will say 30%, 45%, whatever it may be, but the way you get your debt-to-income ratio is you take your total debt, everything you owe, all your obligations, and you divide that by your total income. You can do it on a monthly basis or an annual basis, whatever it may be, the result is going to be the same. And if that ratio is anywhere between, or if it's over the 30%, 35, or 40% mark, you may be in a financial pickle. It may be a little tight. And this is where you should start to diagnose your debt. And the way you diagnose your debt, or monitor your debt, like I said, is by doing a debt portfolio. And I call it a portfolio because when you look at your financial position as a portfolio, you tend to have a more objective view. You don't want to be financially involved, or you don't want to be emotionally involved when you're looking at, or when you're diagnosing your finances, because you might tend to ignore the facts. If you realize, or if you see that, you're going to have to start cutting down on the entertainment aspect of your life and the dining and the vacations. You may choose to turn a blind side. So I call it a portfolio. And in that portfolio, you put all the types of debt you have. You'll put, I have some of the more common types of debt. You'll put all the debts you have, good and bad. I'll define a good debt and a bad debt. And in the debt portfolio, you should put your credit card debt, which is a bad debt. You should put your mortgage, which is a good debt. You should put your home equity loans, which may or may not be a good debt. You should put your rent, which is actually a bad debt, although maybe a necessity. You should put your auto loans, which is a bad debt. Your student loans, which is a good debt. Business loans is a good debt. Personal loans, or whatever obligations you may have. All this goes into your debt portfolio. And what we do is you take all this debt, well, you take each one individually. You'll take your total monthly mortgage payment, and you'll divide it by your gross monthly income. And you'll do the same thing for each debt. This way, you'll get to see the percentage of each debt in your life. So each debt you have, you divide it by your monthly income, and that's the percentage of debt that this has in your life. Your mortgage may be 20% of your income, and your credit card debt can be 30% of your income. And this way, you'll see where you are. You'll see where your bad debt is relative to your good debt. And if you have more bad debt than good debt, it's time for an adjustment. Now, what makes a debt good or bad? A good debt is defined as a debt that brings value to your life. A mortgage, like I said, is an example of a good debt because your home appreciates in value. For most of us here, we can't afford to buy a house outright. What we have to do is go to a bank. They check our credit, like you mentioned. They'll do a background check. They'll see whether or not if we're worthy of a loan. If we are worthy, they'll give us the loan. And you would see that with all your monthly payments, if you take a 30-year mortgage, the first 15 to 25 years of payments are going all towards interest. But that's okay. Because mortgage, like I said, is a good debt. And why is making monthly payments towards interest good? Because the payments you make towards your interest are tax deductible. This is what makes a mortgage a good debt. You're making payments towards interest and you're getting a tax deduction on it. And on top of that, while you're making interest payments, you're paying your monthly mortgage, your home, and this is really typical of real estate, appreciates in value. So this is where the benefit of a good debt is.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. You're making a payment, you're paying interest, you're getting a tax deduction on it. Most of the time, usually real estate appreciates in value. You're putting money into something that is not disposable, that has a saleable value, that has a tax deductible value, and that's a good debt. Something that is a long-term benefit that you get to reap the benefit of for years and years to come.